Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Word Slingers. My co host, Tony James, the
What's
man with
up?
the best mustache in the game.
Thank you.
And then, of course, our special guest today is Nandor Fox, the guy with the coolest name in the game.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I shaved today, so I'm very much the baby face right now.
Nice. Well, you are
Nice.
the baby of the group, probably. I,
Yeah,
I would
probably.
assume. I would assume, but how old are you?
I just turned 27.
Okay.
Oh, you have your whole life ahead of you, man. There's so much comic career to go for you.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What unless you don't want to unveil that. But
Go ahead, Tony.
Uh,
How old are you?
I am 35.
35.
I'm, old,
Yeah.
I'm an old man.
I'm even older. I'm 44.
Wow, you do
wow.
not look that
Yeah, I
young.
was gonna say, like, no
Well,
way.
I
Like,
appreciate that.
yeah.
But yeah,
So let's talk about your name, Nandor, because that is an interesting name.
Oh,
Were you named after Nandor Fodor and Fox Mulder? Because if you were, that would be super cool.
okay. So you got the Fox Mulder. Yeah, for sure. My parents were major X Files fans, and so
Okay.
they loved David Duchovny and they loved X Files. And I've yet to watch the entire series. I've watched a lot of it, and I do enjoy it. But I feel like I'm obligated to, like, I need to do
Yeah.
that. But my first name, Nandor, it's that is just because my mom is Hungarian,
Okay.
and so it's a Hungarian name. And yeah, she had a few names kind of picked out for my brother and I. And it's one of those things that mothers do where they see the kid and they're like, "You're Nandor," so that's kind of what happened. I don't know what made me a Nandor, but it worked out. I love it. I really love my name. It's it kind of it's derivative of like Ferdinand. And
Mm.
it also um means like adventurer, traveler. So I'll take
Nice.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
I always think of Nandor the Relentless from What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like my name's finally been represented in pop culture, and that's a rarity. I never thought that would happen, so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I thought it would be cool if you were like named after Nandor Fodor and Fox Mulder, like both paranormal type shows or
Yeah, wouldn't that be
backgrounds.
cool? Yeah.
Yeah. The talking, how is it? Talking Mongoose or Jeff
Mhm.
Talking Mongoose?
Mm.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's talk about writing. What got you into writing?
Man, what got me into writing? Everything. Everything. I know that's not a broad stroke answer. But what got me into writing, like, more so than anything, I actually started writing because I loved video games. And I'd write a lot of blogs on GameInformer.com, and I would um, share my thoughts and kind of be somewhat of a critic, I guess. But I was really young. I was only like 13 or 14, and I was posting these blogs. And I was fascinated with journalism. I was fascinated with, like, um sharing your thoughts on, sharing your opinion on things that everyone has an opinion on. And but that the love for that and the passion for that slowly died after a while, because everyone had an opinion, and I realized that mine was just amongst the millions. And even though I really enjoyed my takes, and people enjoyed them as well, there were a few times where Game Informer highlighted a lot of my blogs that I had written. And
That's
I
really
don't think
cool.
I don't think anyone knew that I was like 13 when I was writing them. And because I stayed incognito, I had my own username and whatnot. And so um that was really encouraging to me, like getting those spotlights, and people engaging with me on that level. And I realized I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed writing. I enjoyed words. I enjoyed, like, trying to learn new words. And it's just kind of something that video games, like, made me fall into. And then I started to really think about storytelling, because I started my blog started to become more experimental, and I realized that I enjoyed narrative rather than articles. It's like I enjoyed trying, and even with articles, you're kind of constructing a narrative. It's just it just needs to flow from beginning to end. But then, I wanted to be more creative, and so I've always read comics. I've always enjoyed movies and music. I'm a drummer. I play in a band with my brother, and so like lyrics were really important to me. Every time I listen to music, I listen to the lyrics more than anything, really. And so I would write songs with my brother. I would, we would come up with different story ideas, and you would just honestly critique things that you really enjoyed, and you would talk about. I would talk about, every time we watch a movie, we'd have probably an hour, 2 hour long conversation afterwards, talking about what we liked about it, what we didn't like, why we didn't like it, and so just kind of very analytical people, my brother and I, and so I started to take that and think about storytelling, and comics were the kind of the go-to for me. I didn't feel like I could do anything else, like, to be honest, and I didn't have the resources to do anything else. But comic books seemed like the right way and the most accessible way for me to kind of see what I could do.
Is there a particular game that really inspired you? What's narrative that really kind of helped you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed like growing up. I really enjoyed the Uncharted games, and I really enjoyed
Yeah.
uh, Dead Space and like Infamous.
Yeah,
Kind of at the like Prince of Persia, and a few like growing up. I kind of like the PlayStation 3 generation was huge for me. Like when that launched, and all of the games, and like Resident Evil.
mhm,
I played all of those with my dad growing up on like GameCube, and so like there were a few series that I really got invested in, and like especially with Resident Evil, with all the characters and how like, oh, like Leon's in this game, but like where's Chris, and like
mhm.
where's Claire, and Wesker. Like these were really iconic characters, and so I enjoyed that a lot, and um, more than anything, I enjoyed participating in the storytelling experience. I mean, that's why a lot of narrative-driven games, I fell in love with the Quantic Dream games like Heavy Rain
Yeah,
and Detroit, Become Human, and it's like and I still love Beyond Two Souls. Like I know that kind of got mixed reviews when it came out, but man, I loved that game when it came out, and so yeah, games like that, I started to kind of learn what my tastes were and what I was kind of wanting, and I mean, everyone talks about The Last of Us now, and it was huge when the first game came out, but it's really exploded. But yeah, I mean, that was one of those games that I played for the first time, and it changed the way that I thought about video games, or video game storytelling in particular.
it's definitely a watershed moment, The Last of Us, for
Yeah,
gaming.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about comic books? What pulled you into comic book writing?
Yeah. So I was really, growing up, I came in to comics in the early 2000s, and like kind of right before the MCU was about to kick off. And so I grew up with watching the X-Men films and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and that led me down. Ooh, there's history. Like there's all this history of all these characters, and so again, I shared comics and I shared storytelling with my brother a lot, and so we would like have our like favorite characters or our set of characters that we loved, and we would like argue about who would win, or who would win in a fight, and all those kind of fun little things that you do as a kid. And but the characters that I gravitated to in the comics that I read growing up were a mix of Marvel and DC, but I loved reading Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting's Captain America was huge for
Yeah, it's
me.
good
And then,
stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, that was just like, and I had just, I remember Bucky was Captain America, and I love his suit design was insane. Like I loved it
Yeah.
so much, and it felt like a perfect jumping on point for me because I was like, "Oh, there's a new Captain America," but it's Bucky, and it's like, what happened? And that like going back and the Winter Soldier and all that stuff was so like cool and
Yeah.
tragic, And for a while, um, Bucky Barnes was like more of my Captain America than Steve Rogers was, like as I because that's just kind of where I came in. But then, I started reading more Captain America and reading more Captain America comics, and I fell in love with both of the characters. But it was odd to me that for so long Captain America didn't have Bucky. That was such a new idea. I mean, the Winter Soldier and like having him back, like that idea and that tragedy was new to the character, and so that was like really exciting for me. And um, so I read that was huge for me. And then also, at the same time, Bendis was on Avengers, and that was really exciting. Hickman had just taken over the Fantastic Four, and Mark Millar had done a previous run right before him. And then, I read some of the Ultimate stuff. The Ultimate Universe was really fascinating to me too because it was just different. It was early
Yeah.
2000s. It had that like, ooh, there's all these new iterations of these characters, and so they had those animated Ultimate Avengers movies that were really cool. I don't know if you guys ever saw those, but
Mm.
Yeah.
they were pretty dope. Like I was like, wow, this is really like action packed and neat. So um, you know, that really opened up. Like that was I think they called them the architects at the time. You had Bendis, Fraction, Brubaker, and Hickman, and they were all just like they had all these like amazing events like Secret Invasion and Siege, and Straczynski was on Thor at the time, and that was an amazing run too. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of just absorbed all of that. I would go to the comic book store and I would just be like, what looks cool and what looks exciting, and they would get me with the tie-ins and they would get me with the events because it was you wanted to be a part of it. And from there, I was still reading DC. I mean, I they didn't have like a lot of Shazam stuff at the time when I was growing up, but he was one of my favorite characters. Captain Marvel is. I would prefer to call him that, but that just confuses people.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I loved like I read all of the Power of Shazam by Jerry Ordway. That series was amazing, and I read a lot of Aquaman and a lot of Flash. And so, Jeff Johns was huge for me as well. Everything he was doing with Green Lantern was
Mhm.
insane because you had Blackest Night and Brightest Day, and you had the Sinestro Corps War. And I mean, I think, unfortunately, the Green Lantern movie, I think, kind of tanked people's excitement for the
Yeah.
character. But it didn't like that movie didn't matter to me because like the character was so amazing. What Jeff Johns was doing was so amazing that it was like, well, yeah, like this is disappointing, but the comics are still great and the stories are still really great. And so yeah, I mean that's a long-winded answer, but like I was into comics and then the New 52 happened, and that was like a huge deal at the same time.
Right.
It was like, whoa, like now we're really shaking things up. And I mean, definitely some things about that launch that were kind of strange, but it was still really exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah. That Grant Morrison right before New 52, like everything that he was doing with Batman was also
Yeah,
pretty
Batman Rip
amazing.
and
Batman
yeah.
RIP and everything that happened with Damien and the character Dr. Hurt. Yeah, all that stuff was amazing.
Yeah, and I mean all of the Dick Grayson Damien, the Batman and Robin stuff with
Yeah.
Frank Quitely. I mean that stuff was
Yeah.
awesome. I was picking that off the stands. Like
Yeah.
this was so cool.
Yeah, it was a great run.
Yeah, it's good stuff. What was the first book you ever wrote?
The first book I ever wrote. So the first comic that I ever wrote was Seasons, Volume 1, Spring. I
Okay.
actually should have prepared this before, but yeah. So here it is. This is book one, and
Nice.
it is like 120-page hardcover, and it came out. It was my first book. I started strong. I went big. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go big. And yeah, it released in 2018. And I started putting it online for free for people to read in 2016, and got a lot of good feedback, and people were reading it and they were enjoying it. And crowdfunding was still kind of like new. Like people were doing it with comics, but crowdfunding comics has really changed over the years. It's really like had an uptick over the last 5 to 6 years, and especially in the last couple of years after the pandemic. But like, it was still like, are people going to support my stuff on there? Like, there's not a lot of. I mean, there are some creators on there, but not a whole lot. And yeah, I had wanted to make comics. I mean, I got out of high school, and I was just starting college, kind of like right in between high school and college. I had this idea of, doing a comic book, and the idea was, okay, what if I had a character that, their powers would change? And, I loved superheroes growing up, but something that was always, I guess, kind of like not annoying, but uh, constraining was the idea that they couldn't do anything other than what they could do. And like we know what Superman can do, we know what his power set is, we know what Spider-Man can do. But what if there was a character where the powers would change depending on the seasons of the year? Like, what kind of
Oh, that's interesting.
narrative tool could I use to make that happen and to make it make sense? And so I came up with this idea of like this 1 year journey, this 1 year story, that this character, whose name is Fletcher, he would his powers would change with each book, and he would have to face different opponents or obstacles, whether they be like physical or supernatural or emotional. And it's this really like trippy kind of fever dream type of story where he's trying to find meaning in his life. And it's this like character study about um, the way change, you're never prepared for it, and it surprises you, it kind of smacks you down, and you have to roll with it, and so like Fletcher is like rolling with these changes, and he's, it's a kind of a late coming of age, but like it's Arrested Development. He's really like stuck, and so the universe, or these like supernatural forces, are basically getting him off his ass and making him have to make choices and do things that he never thought he could do, and see the world in a new way that he never thought he could see. And so a lot of what he faces in the first book are these shadow selves, these shadow beings that come from people around the city, and he can like kind of see their innermost desires and their innermost fears, and like all the things that people want to do but they can't do because of either their conscience or the law or whatever. And so he gets to see the dark side of humanity, and he gets to see the dark side of himself, and through that he realizes he can't stay in the same place anymore. So yeah, and then we get into summer is out as well, and I'm working on volume 3 right now. But this was huge for me. This book was like a big deal, because not only was my first one, but I'm really putting myself out there. I mean, it's 100 pages. It's
Yeah.
like, if people don't like this, they'll probably never read anything else I do. I mean, maybe they'll be nice to me about it. And I had started writing it when I was, about 17, 18 years old. And so my only like, I guess, cop out was, if you don't like it, it's okay, because I was that young, so it's probably not that good. But when I look at it, I really like it still. I mean, I'm a different person now. I'm about 8 or 9 years removed from writing this. But I read it sometimes. I'll just go over it, and Anthony, the artist, we'll talk about it, and I mean, if a 30-year-old guy trusted an 18-year-old kid to do this story together and really enjoyed it, I was like, okay, like maybe we have something here, because Anthony has told me many times, like, it's a good story, and I'm like, okay, like, well, good. I'm glad you think so. Hopefully other people will too.
What is that was your first story. What was the kind of one big takeaway as a writer that you pulled from that experience of making that first book?
I think the biggest takeaway from it was I have a tendency to uh, overwrite. I write too much. And a part of that was the character, because the character himself, Fletcher, he's very much a in his own head type of character. So there's a lot of narration. There's a lot of like observation going on. But I feel like it's a bit it might be a little bit too much. Like I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, am I sacrificing the character like trait to just tell a more of a breeze of a story, or do I really want the reader to kind of get stuck in his head? And so it's kind of a toss up there. But like, that's something I've noticed with all of I guess it's just me as a writer. I tend to want to um say too much, and with comics it's like that's you can't do that. And
Yeah.
so um I think as I've gone from book to book, I've learned how to mitigate that with less is more, but also maybe you just need a couple more pages. Maybe you don't have to cram everything onto one page. And I remember writing it and being really obsessed, because at the time I would read a lot of comics and there just wouldn't be a lot of writing in it. And I'd get so upset because I would pay like, $4 or $5 at the time.
Hmm.
And I would, go through it and I'd finish it in, like 5 or 10 minutes. And I just felt like that wasn't worth my money. Like, I don't know. And so like, at the time I was like, I'm going to make this worth someone's money, and you're not gonna be able to read this 100-page book and finish it in an hour, or maybe even 2 hours. Like, it's gonna take you some time, and I want you to take time with it. And so
Hmm.
I think it was that. And looking at things now, I can't believe I did a 100-page hardcover. Like I'm like, why did I do like what was what was in my head, because and I did that with volume 2 as well. And I'm like, man, I was ambitious,
Yeah.
but like I kind of inspire myself. I'm like, I wish I had that same passion that I did like for my stories now. And finances change, that all happens, and so that's a part of it. But I just think like, man, I was gung ho for this, and I still am for comics. Like, I really am. But um, you know, doing it at that level and that scale is just huge.
Yeah, you're really swinging for the fence.
Yeah,
Cash
yeah.
can be damned.
Definitely, it was like, okay, like, if we're gonna fall, we're gonna fall hard, and we just got to go for it. But like with volume 3, I'm gonna be breaking it up into like 2 volumes, or two parts basically. And so that it's still it's gonna be 140 pages. It's still a really big book.
Mhm.
um but I was like, okay, I'll still do a hardcover later, but I think initially getting it out, I'm going to do it in 2 parts. And that'll offset a lot of the costs, but it'll also help me with juggling what else I have going on too.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's your approach to writing, like from concept to outline? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I carry a notebook with me like everywhere I go. I really strive to write down just like notes, just like ideas, things that I have.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Exactly. And I filled a few of them, and a few of them are full of, I mean, anywhere from lines of dialogue to outlines to layouts to just all sorts of things, character designs. I'll draw up my own ideas, and have color pencils, and whatever I have, I'm just like, I'm going to use it. And so everything starts with, for me, every story starts with um basically the message, or like what I'm trying to say. What do I want to say with this story? Like with Seasons, it's a story about meaning. It's a story about finding purpose. With Manchild, it's a story about learning that what you love may not love you back, or learning like that you can't necessarily always um, escape reality. Like reality will find you. And so like ideas like that, and like Lifeline, my third book, that is a story about like learning learning about people through the eyes of others, and how we're all connected in a way, and the way that we live our lives affects other people. And so I it all starts with like that idea, and what do I want to drive home, what is my North Star, basically, and then everything else about the story, kind of what I want to talk about, kind of falls into that. And I go, okay, what kind of genre works for that idea, or what kind of character can I create that has that motivation, and or cast of characters that can kind of contrast each other to to show that message, to like get it out there. And so I always like, I'm not trying to be preachy in my work. It's just, it's the way that I can build a foundation. Everything else about the story, it gives me that anchor that I can hold on to. And so um yeah, I think I just start writing, like, what am I trying to say, and I write that in my notebook. And then I think about, what haven't I written before? Like, what could I do that could challenge myself? What could be something new? And from there, I basically try to come up with the ending of the story. I think about how the story is going to end. I always think about the ending and where I'm trying to end up, and then work my way backwards. And I do like rough outlines. I don't do I kind of do outlines more in the sense of page count more than anything.
Mm.
So I'm like, if I'm breaking down the chapters, I think about how many pages the scene is going to be, and kind of work through that. I'll have an overarching idea of the beginning, middle, and end of the story, but not always per chapter or per issue. And so, um, being able to dissect every issue as I'm on it, and thinking about how it bridges to the next issue. I always think about the page count and how much real estate that I have. And so basically it's just concept to writing it down in a notebook, to doing like brief outline stuff, but just kind of throwing myself into it a little bit and trying to feel it out, and then go from there, depending on the project. It kind of depends, I guess.
Mhm. That's cool. Is there a part of the process that you really look forward to every time you tell a new story?
Yeah, I think my favorite part of writing the story is um, it's getting to those moments where it defines the story, like getting to those key try like sometimes I don't necessarily know what it's gonna turn into, but it's that expectation of, feel like I have something here. And then when I'm like, when it comes upon you, like when you're writing and you're in that moment with that character, and it's like a scene or a dialogue bit that you've had in mind for a while, and you're able to like release it and launch it into the story, like that is where I get that feeling of, man, this is what I need to be doing like for the rest of my life. Like it gives me that that charge, that adrenaline rush. And I'm kind of always chasing that with my stories. And to be honest, like if I go a while without writing, I just feel awful. Like my mental um state, it suffers because I I have a lot to say. I just can't really articulate it all the time
Mm.
in person, but I can do it in my writing and my stories. And so um, that gives me that outlet and that sense of purpose and value. And so I look forward to to doing that, like into like, okay, like no one's listening to me. No one probably cares what I have to say, but maybe they will if I can write this story correctly.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part, or what's the part that you don't look forward to in writing?
What do I not? I think the part I don't look forward to the most is um man, it either has to be like with comics, it's definitely even though I'm really excited when I see the finished like PDF before we send it to the printer, but it's making sure that everything is correct and everything like the final pass is the most stressing for me because if it's if I miss something, it's on me and it's my fault. And before so sometimes I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like you want to put it out there, but you're also like, well, dang, like if like once I hit the green light or I hit that email, that button, and I hit send, um it's out of my hands now, and so what people think about it. And so like it's kind of that push and pull of course I want people to read it and I want people to enjoy it and I hope they do, but if there's something I miss, I always second guess myself. So that I'm always second guessing. And that really it keeps me up at night, and it stresses me out because, it's like this is it. This is it, like there's nothing else you can do after the fact. And so I don't look forward to that part. I don't look forward to the the worry and the frustration and like, oh, did I change that line of dialogue? Did I think about that? And when I do the final pass, I'm like, why? I thought I had changed that, and that just really like gets me going because and if a story has lingered for a while, and the art has been done and taken a while, for a while, and I'm rereading it and there's something I don't like, I get so frustrated with myself because I'm like, why did I write that? Like, what?
Right.
Like, what an idiot! Like, who did that? Like that was me. Like, so, yeah, I enjoy making the story better. I just hate failing at it. I hate like that sense of, I guess it's somewhat being a perfectionist, but it's mostly just that idea of like, if I don't get it right this time and it's out there, then, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, this is self-doubt. I think we all go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've had my fair share. I mean, like just Star Noir as an example, just obsessing over pinstripes. Like just some kind of
Yeah,
small little
right.
thing. You're like, hey, if people don't like the story, I'm guarantee you it's not because of the pinstripes on this one panel.
Yeah. Yeah, you almost, I mean, I think that's the value. I've only worked with an editor on my like work for hire stuff, but never with my own projects. And I think that's the value in an editor because you can actually put those grievances like to someone rather than just to yourself. And it's like, you're sort of having that constant conversation with yourself. And it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Like you can't
Right.
like just figure it out. Like you just have to trust yourself, basically.
Yeah. Do you have any peers that you have them like review your story before you send it off?
No, no, I'm too shy about that, to be honest, and also, I guess I'm too much of a control freak about it. I something something that I've told other creators before, and see, I'm happy to do it for other people. Like I love, like giving advice and helping people if they need help, or if they're like, hey, what should this like color palette be for this cover or for this scene, or if they're needing some like editing. um but I like to succeed or fail at my own, like on my own terms. And so if I didn't catch something, um that's the way I can learn from it. I hope I can learn from that rather than someone else catching it for me. And I do work, I mean, I work with my artists very closely with all my projects, and so we're always kind of editing each other in a way. And so there's that collaborative aspect where, like Jay on Manchild, Jay Mazar, the artist, we'll be going through the layouts together, or the dialogue together, and he'll be like, "Well, there's there's a lot of text here because I overwrite, and he'll be like, we could move this around, or can you say this but just say it with, the least amount of words possible." And so he really gets me to think like, okay, if what's a different version of this? And so I really kind of just trust the people that I'm working with, because I feel like we're the most invested in what we're doing, and it just needs to be kind of in-house. I like that in-house flavor, and I hope I can get to that point where I trust people to see it more as I get older and as I write more stories. But I guess it's worked out for me this way. And I'm on my sixth book with the Fabled Offering, and so it's like, if it's worked out this way, maybe it's okay right now. But at some point, I know that'll probably change.
Cool.
So with this, your latest story, what's your latest story about? And tell us about that project.
Yeah, of course. So, my latest project is the Fabled Offering. It's a 44-page sci-fi fantasy one-shot epic about a princess on a quest to save herself and her kingdom from her own past trauma. She's just gotten done fighting this huge war, and her kingdom's been in, and she's like the champion of Telindius, which is her kingdom. And so she's in this state of kind of you know she's done her duty as the warrior, and now she kind of doesn't know like what's left for her now, like after fighting this huge war. And so that's where we find her in the story. And from some of the preview pages that I've shared, you see that she's also pregnant, and she is on this journey to meet with one of the ancient deities of this world. And this deity's name is Sizen, and Sizen is the ancient of time. So in this world, they're called the ancients, and he's one of them. And he represents the past, present, and future. And she is trying to grace his presence by getting to meet with him in his temple, his ship, basically on top of this mountain. And so it's a story about impossible choices, and it's a story about um, facing impossible odds and trying to understand yourself better, and also how whatever destiny has in store for you, or what you thought your destiny would be, that might not be so. And so it's grappling with those ideas, and all in a fantasy sci-fi setting that has cyber horses and fire swords, and um, you know a, a deity who has an eye in his mouth, with the crown of a red ruby crown of thorns. So it's a really exciting story. It's one of it, definitely. I mean, I'm proud of everything I've written, and I love everything I've written. But there's something particularly special about this book because it's a one shot. There's a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of things that we could do, but there's just so much to the sci-fi and fantasy genres that you can do visually that is so exciting about it. So, a lot of my other books somewhat take place in the real world, or a lot of realism that goes in. This is something completely different because it's like we're on an alien world. It needs to feel alien. The art itself, Marco's art, it makes you feel like you're on like an alien planet. And I really wanted people to be transported into this, otherworldly realm where, hopefully you can relate to the character and you can kind of relate to what she's going through, and the struggles that she has to face, and you can get that sense of you know pain and wonder and awe and worry and all those things that make a good character, where you're like, okay, I'm struggling with you, but you get that in a world that feels completely separate from our own. So if you're a fan of like vintage, like kind of retro sci-fi and kind of retro fantasy. Like if you love the Isaac Asimov novels, or if you're a fan of like Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, or if love kind of more of that gritty, heavy metal, otherworldly type of storytelling, then yeah, this is for you.
I love how unique the art style is in the
Yeah.
interiors. Like the coloring, it's almost like a watercolor almost. It just yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just
everything's kind of blending
yeah.
in, and
Um
yeah.
and that's what I love to see like with comics where it's just like something that like you see it and you're like, I don't know anything else that looks like this. Like it really
Yeah,
really just jumps out and is very striking. Like this page right here is just I think it's just incredible.
Yeah. I love that establishing shot right there. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
yeah, that's her kingdom right there. That's Telindius, and it's yeah, something that Marco really brought to the table, because initially when I was like conceptualizing the world, I was becoming really stuck on um each just how everything looks. I mean, as you do as a writer, I mean, you're thinking about it visually and you're trying to think like, okay, this the buildings look green here, or the like Aurelia's costume, she's wearing like a blue hood with a gray belt and a black gauntlets or whatever, and you're just like thinking about all of that. And the more I was working with Marco and saw just how like experimental and like alien, like I always use that word alien because like you look at his color work and his art, and there's like this evergreen quality that like he made the book feel like you're not on this planet, and that's what I really wanted. And it's like that totally threw out all of my ideas of, well, this needs to be this color or this needs to be that color, because what's the point of like trying to ground it when we're in this other setting? And I just felt
Right.
like I was constraining what he could do and what he could bring to it. And if you look at a lot of the like some of the more like 70s 80s kind of independent sci-fi art and all of that kind of stuff, it looks like this. It has that vibe and that style where you're not beholden to uh you know earth and like what how we see color. And there's also this quality to it where every time you look at it, you see something, you notice something different. And that's what I love about it too. You're like, wait a second, I didn't notice like where like, oh, like there's that, or you're like, you have to take time with it. And again, just like with all my stories, it's like I want the reader not just to look at a page and be like, oh, I know what that is, and go on
Right.
to the next one. I want them to take time with the story and take time with, this world, and hopefully it really gets them to feel like, this is otherworldly and alien and different, and it makes me uh want more, hopefully.
It looks great. How did you find the artist?
Yeah, so Marco actually did this. I found him through another crowdfunded book called The Numinous Nomads, and it was funded a few years ago. And I had backed it because I saw his art on Twitter, which led me to the campaign, which led me to back it because I only saw a page or two, and I was like, I need this. Like, I want this comic. And um, then I was like, well, I wonder what he's doing. Like, what is he up to? And so I just reached out to him at a certain point in time when I had finished the script, and had all these, like, I had some character designs already done, and I had a few other art pieces done that I felt confident. Okay, this is the direction I want to take it, and I sent him the script, and man, I have never had someone like an artist like jump up and down and like want to work on something. Like, he was so excited about this, and he's been a huge uh encouraging collaborator, and someone who um consistently wants to work with me, which is really flattering and really nice, but also wants to do more with these characters and more with this world. And that's really exciting to me because, again, I had imagined the story to be a one shot. But as I was getting pages back, and as Marco and I were talking about what we could do with the story, and what could happen later, and where all of these kind of beings and these things come from, he really like helped open my mind to think more about how big, or like how much bigger we could go with this. And I love that because, like, I had all these ideas, and these are things that I had shared with him of like, okay, this is why this is happening, and this is like how the ancients operate, and this is like what her kingdom is like, and but all of that was kind of for me. That was like for me to know so that I could write the story I wanted to tell. But the more we work on it, and the more that we are getting this response from it, a lot of people are wanting more, and I could see it. I can, like, people are like thirsty for it, they're like hungry for
Yeah.
more. And so I'm like, man, okay, well, let's reconsider what we can do. Aurelia's story is being told in this, so like nothing's changed with the story at all. I made sure that just because people want more, I wasn't going to like sacrifice the story I wanted to tell. But um, there's definitely the opportunity to expand upon it and like do more with it. And so, Marco has been kind of the engine driving that for me, and I'm really hoping that we can do more. And it just all depends on if people really enjoy the story.
Yeah, it's always great when the artist can inspire you, and is also is also very vindicating when you send them a script and they're very excited to work on it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, because I mean, you think what you're writing about, and you think like, oh, this would look cool. Um, so yeah, like getting that page back, or even getting the layout, you're like, oh crap, like this works, and like this looks really cool, and I'm not insane, it's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of moments where I've gotten a page back from Marco, and I'm just, I hate that I'm looking at it on my phone, like I'm like this is a disservice to the art. Oh, thank you, Justin. Um, so Yeah, I mean, it's out of all the books that I've made, this is the book that I'm the most anxious to get a physical copy of because I can't wait to like see it like right in front of me and like touch it, touch the art and really see it. So I just can't wait for what we have in store for it.
Yeah, looks like it'll print very well. I can really imagine this being a physical book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks great. How many pages is it?
It's going to be 44 pages.
44. Okay.
And Marco, this is a really exciting day because I woke up this morning and Marco emailed me the final page. The final, like, the art
Nice.
is completely done. And then we also hit our funding goal on Indiegogo. So, like, I was like, man, what a cool day. Like, this, like, I need more days like this in my life where, like, things go well. Yeah, so right now, um, we're looking through the book. We're making sure, there's nothing we need to like kind of alter or change before we send it to the letterer. And, um, from then on, it's like we're going to be good to go and we're going to get this book lettered and sent to the printer. And we're hoping to get the books. If all goes well on our timetable, we're hoping to get the books in like late May or like June, so that's kind of the timetable right now.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a good looking project.
Now
Thank you.
your main character is pregnant. Is that a hindrance at all for the character throughout the story?
Yeah, it is. So, uh, her pregnancy is actually a really big part of not only why she's on this journey, but also why she is having to really fend for herself. And not only is she uh, fighting to protect herself, but she's also fighting to protect, her child. So it's like it adds that another layer of stakes where, um, you know, she's sick, she's having, morning sickness, she's like, having to, climb this mountain while pregnant. I mean, how can you imagine
Yeah.
doing that? Like, so, and the her being pregnant is not just for the periphery or for ooh, that would be interesting. It's actually like a major part of Aurelia's character and everything that she's going through.
Cool. That's exciting. Yeah, when I first saw this character was pregnant, the first thing I thought of, like, the writer brain in me was like, okay, so like how does this like hurt the character? How does this help the character?
Yeah,
Are there
yeah,
emotional moments tied to this character being pregnant? Yeah.
definitely.
I like this horse right here.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Isn't that a cool horse? Yes, that's I love all the covers on this campaign, but this one in particular, features Anobicus. That's his name, the horse's name. And yeah, he's a cyber horse. And it's Aurelia's only loyal companion on this journey.
Wow. Yeah. How did you come up with some of the names? They sound a little Greek, a little Latin. How do you
Yeah, I did look. I actually was looking at all of those. I was actually just I would names have meanings, and so I was thinking about different what does this character represent, or like what does this land represent, or what am I trying to kind of go for here? And that was my kind of touchstone to look into. Okay, what's the Greek translation of this word, or what's the Latin translation of this word, or the Roman translation, whatnot. And I even look at like Mayan like language and things like that, and just to see if I could basically pull from other languages and kind of create my own word, like a word that would sound unique and sound cool, and not not too much like a civilization on Earth. And so I really was just like the word Edis, which is Sizen's temple, which Sizen is a Mayan god of the underworld. But Edis means temple. And I'm trying to remember where that's from. I pulled it from an ancient language, but I don't remember. But like, I just kept looking at different meanings for words and trying to see what kind of ancient languages could I pull from.
Cool. Yeah, I love all the names. Just everything sounds really unique, very cool.
Thank you.
And your baseball card game is putting me to shame. I'm a little bit jealous.
Yeah, that is a cool card.
I'm wearing my Cardinals shirt right now too. But yes, I'm really hoping. I guess we're now only $450 away from unlocking this trading card. I'm really hoping we can unlock it because I would love to make it, and I would love to get this to people. And then if we do make more books, I would love to make more cards and have even. I mean, I have an idea for like a trading card game. I mean, Aurelia, like she has like attack and defense right there, and so it wouldn't be anything too crazy, but it would be something. I would try to make something out of it if I could.
I could totally see like the front of that card being like holographic, like kind of the
exactly.
That'd be really cool.
Or like a metal trading card or something. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Just my brother's he's empathizing with the character.
Yeah, is there a trailer? Do we have a video?
Yeah, let me see if I can play it. Hopefully,
yeah.
I've had issues with this before. Tell me if you hear any sound.
The Fabled Offering returns for a second chance.
Yeah.
We're good? Yeah. Okay.
I hear it.
All right. Full screen it out.
Campaign on Indiegogo. If you weren't able to support the Kickstarter, want to snag one of the variant covers, or just help unlock some stretch goals, now's the time. Fabled Offering is a 44-page sci-fi fantasy one-shot epic about a lone princess on a harrowing quest to save herself and her kingdom. Attempting to reach the peak of Gafira Mountain while carrying her unborn child, Grand Princess Aurelia will stop at nothing to meet the ancient Sizen aboard their starship, the Edis. Will Sizen accept her offering? This book was made for fans of Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Seven to Eternity, Dune, and Dungeons & Dragons. The Fabled Offering is a mature tale about trauma, sacrifice, and the power of choice in the face of fate and destiny. I'm Nandor Fox Schaefer, the writer and creator of The Fabled Offering, along with artists Marco Roblin and letterer DC Hopkins. The book is about to be sent to the printers, and we're planning on all packages to be delivered by June 2024. Since the book is nearly done, the Second Chance campaign is solely to reach new audiences and to see how many stretch goals we can unlock before fulfillment, so there's no risk involved. We guarantee that you will get your book in a timely manner. Will you join Aurelia on her quest? The Fabled Offering now beckons you.
Nice.
That great voiceover work that Nandor always provides.
Yes, I'm people are knocking on my door for my radio voice. I actually had I've been doing intros to the show. Someone wanted me to do intros to their show, and I was like, wow, okay. Like I didn't think it was that good, but all right. I'll take it.
Yeah, you got that just a very silky, smooth voice.
Yeah, someone said it's like warm honey in my ears. And I was like, all right.
Well, now that you say that, yeah.
Not getting a little too weird here.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. If anybody's watching this on the replay, the link is down in the description. You can go back to this campaign.
Thank you. Yeah, it's live for another 21 days, so we got 3 weeks left, and we're hoping to, like I said, unlock some of those stretch goals. I really hope we can get that trading card, and hopefully some of the other stretch goals. There's one, if we hit 3,500, every backer will get a black and white edition of the book. So you can get 2 books for basically purchasing just one. So isn't that cool?
That's cool. Justin says really like the art. It feels like 90s, early 2000s experiments comic from Dark Horse. Yeah,
cool.
I can see that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the uniqueness of its style, I think, is what is a great selling point for it. You know,
Mhm.
just there's nothing. I don't know anything off the top of my head that just looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. So what's your next project after this?
Oh man, I have a lot that I'm juggling right now. So I am going to be re-releasing Seasons Volume One as a trade paperback because I'm sold out of all my hardcovers. I do not have anymore, and so I need to re-release it and do a second printing. So that's on my table for this year. I also will be hopefully launching Manchild issue 3. And that's something else I wanted to mention about this campaign. If you haven't purchased any of my other books, they are available during this campaign. So if you see, I have Seasons available, I have Manchild and Lifeline. If you want to pick one of those up before the new issue hits of Manchild, now is your time to do so. So I'm working on issue 3, getting that, and then also Seasons Volume 3. So I have all those juggling right now, and I'm also writing a new story. I won't say like what it's about yet, but I I'm very excited about it. It could be my best thing yet. So.
Is it? Can you say the genre?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, it's gonna be a post-apocalyptic noir story.
Okay, cool. Well, you know I like noir, so
Yeah, yes.
finally something for me.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Nandor. Is there anything you want to share with us? Anything I didn't ask you about that I should have asked you about?
Um, I don't think so. I guess, I would just encourage everyone to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Foxhole Comics, and also subscribe to my newsletter, foxholecomics.substack.com. And then you can find me on X Twitter at Nandor Fox and on Instagram at Nandor Fox Schaefer. And yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for quality storytelling in the indie comic scene, and you've kind of been either left hanging by other campaigns, or you're not really feeling the mainstream, and you're trying to find something that um, hits a lot of those character emotional beats that you feel starved of. I think my books are for you. I really try to make every single book with as much passion and pathos and um, emotional turmoil to put the characters through, so that you can actually feel what they're going through, and hopefully be not only inspired by how they overcome their troubles and their struggles, but also inspired by the fact that there's only a couple people making this. It's me, it's the artist, it's the letterer, and we hope we can create something magical that you won't forget. So I just hope people will check out my stories and be pleasantly surprised with them.
Cool.
Right on.
Tony, you got anything else?
Just go support Nandor because he's a great writer, and just go support a great writer. It's very simple.
He's a good dude. Now, I've
Yeah.
seen you around for years, but we've never crossed paths. So it's cool to finally have you on here to talk to you and see you.
Yeah, yeah, same. It's one of those things where and some people have kind of left the community, and you kind of see
Yeah.
people pop back in and whatnot. But it's really cool to finally meet people that you've seen around for a while, and you're like, oh, like that's so cool that we might have so much in common, not just comics, but other things too. And I've been able to put a lot of great things have come from just being in the space, and seeing people try to make their stories, and you feel like you're coming alongside others and seeing their journey, and learning from their failures, learning from their successes. You're all learning from each other, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to I'm planning on going to C2E2 this year in a few weeks, and I won't be having a table, but I just want to attend and I just want to like meet people and kind of talk with others and kind of get the lay of the land there. But there's a few people I'm hoping I can run into that I've talked with online for a while. But
Johnny.
yeah,
Johnny usually goes to C2E2.
yeah, I would love to like hang out with them and just talk with them. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is one of the, if not the best time, one of the best times to make comics right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks again for your time. Thanks
No
everybody for
problem.
watching. We'll see y'all next time.